Let me ask you something which can lighten our mood. I wanted to ask you, basically, we all are singers. I mean, every person on this planet sings at least one song each day, maybe in his bathroom, maybe doing something, but he does. Can you give everyone, every amateur singer who's not into professional singing, one tip that can improve him?
Wow. So, okay, so I started off being a super amateur singer.
Yes, you didn't
And
learn singing, I think. You did it.
exactly.
Yeah, you're the
So,
perfect guy for this answer.
and even before trying to learn how to sing, I had to unlearn a certain few
Hmm.
unhealthy habits when it comes to singing due to some sort of advices I got when I was a kid and not working on them initially and not realizing it. So I had to basically unlearn singing initially. But I'm learning these days also. As I told you, I do my warm ups. I still watch videos of vocal coaches as and to basically understand wherein I can go wrong and
Mhm.
wherein it's like basically when you go to the gym, you make sure your form is right and you have a lot of mirrors in the gym to ensure that your form is right.
Mhm.
That is what the purpose is of those mirrors, that whenever you're pulling those, when
Mm,
you're doing
right.
those bicep curls, you make sure you're not putting a lot of pressure on the shoulders, you make sure you're not making certain movements which you shouldn't make.
Mhm.
So that is paramount to you becoming a good singer, or like doing it the right way. So the first tip I'd say is go on YouTube, browse through vocal coaches. I can always refer anyone, like whosoever is interested in them. I can give them names. I can send them links and stuff, and that is what I do these days. Also, if someone asks me as to what I've been doing to improve my singing, I send them links to those. So when you go through those videos of those vocal coaches, they tell you the right way of
Mm.
not
Okay.
just hitting a note, but basically your body is a machine. You have to learn how to produce
Yep.
sounds.
Yep.
I can produce 10 different sounds from my voice basically, as to what part of my body I'm channelizing to produce that
Mm.
sound. I can go higher, I can sing in falsetto, I can do a mixed voice, I can do chest voice, I can do maybe a lot of screaming as well at times. But to do all of those things, you have to understand the basic concept of producing sounds and as to how they are getting produced.
Mm. Right. You're right.
So the the best thing you can do to yourself is not just randomly focus on singing, but to learn how to produce those sounds.
Got it.
When in college, I used to lose my voice 10 minutes into speaking to someone else.
Why is
I
that?
didn't even know. I didn't, because my way of speaking, I all my because of the wrong practices which I
Okay.
had in my
Something which you
childhood.
had to unlearn. You actually spoke about it.
Exactly,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So I used to involve a lot of my muscles over here, the throat muscles, to speak, to sing, and that drains them out. You
Okay.
have to make sure. Exactly. So you know what? Even in
I've heard this a
theaters,
lot, not to sing from your throat, but from
exactly.
your
So you
stomach.
have to, exactly. So that is what I told. That is what I was trying to tell you. That when you go through those videos and you listen to a lot of vocal coaches, when you try to do some research into this stuff, you realize that you have to channelize and you have to use this abdominal part. And it sounds funny, but like you have to basically bear down. You have to make sure that you're. It's like it's. I'm not even kidding. You have to have that pooping kind of action
Okay.
going on,
Okay.
which helps you project
Hmm.
your voice. So it's not like when I'm trying to talk to you, I'm trying to bear down, or I'm not doing
Now, though,
that, because
it's
this is
normal to you
because
now.
exactly.
Hmm.
But to basically tell your body to activate those muscles, to activate this region, you have to force it. You have to push it first. Like
Okay.
sometimes even to do your bicep curls, what you do is you lean against the wall, you stand against the wall so that your hand is not going back. But
Hmm.
once you're into it, once you're doing it for a week, you know your hand is not going to go back because you've
Right.
trained it a certain
Yes.
way. I don't start my day with screaming. I
Mhm.
don't start my day with screaming. I start my day with my head resonance. I use my head resonance and then make my way down to my chest resonance.
Oh, okay.
So I start off with a lot of falsetto practices, with like practicing my falsetto. Then I go into my
Hmm.
head voice, and then I go into my chest voice. So that those are the different registers. So that is something which is paramount, I'd say, to singing. Because even if you're able to hit a certain few notes the right, like if you're hitting the right note, but if you're not hitting it the right way, you might not be able to sing the next note because you're maybe out of breath, because maybe
Yes,
you've tired yourself, because maybe you've strained yourself too much. So it's very important while practicing your scales, while practicing your saregama padanisa or doing any sort of riyaz, it is very important to make sure you're doing it the right way as well. The sound which is coming out of your body, it is coming out the right way. So I'd say work on that first.
you're right. Actually, that's very good advice. Uh, how to create sounds, how to use our body.
Exactly. I what initially I was trying to do, a lot of young singers what they try to do is try and increase their range, try and go higher, try and scream, try to reach the next high note.
Hmm.
That is not really important. If you don't have the right technique, maybe you can sing the first 5 notes comfortably.
Yeah,
You have to know the right techniques to reach the next 10 notes in that. And range and all comes naturally. It will come naturally if you know the right ways. You don't really have to worry about your range. I'm a baritone and I can sing songs of singers who are tenors, so I'll do it a different way.
what is a
Maybe I'll
baritone
do
or a tenor? Can
Okay,
you
so
explain to us?
basically, uh, in a very layman's way, baritones are people who sing on in lower registers. They have a
Okay.
more bassy voice. Then you have your tenors who have a slightly shriller voice, who have more treble in their voice, and they are
Hmm.
comfortable in singing higher notes. But it's not something to put a restriction on yourself. My natural scale or my natural sa might be different from a person who's doing it and who's a tenor, but I can still sing in his range, maybe in a different way, because I know how to work my way around and how to produce different sounds.
Right.
So range is not something which someone should be worried about.
Okay.
And it's more important as to how, as to understanding your body. And there are a lot of good YouTubers. Chris Lipe and Eric Arsenault are two people who I have been religiously following for the last few years, and
Okay.
whose advices and their videos, it's free of course, man. That's the best part. YouTube, you have so many videos, you can learn
Yes.
a lot of stuff from there, and that is what I've been doing. So yeah, getting just saying the right way is more important than
Hmm.
hitting the notes correctly in the first, like as the first thing to do.
Okay.
You can always be slightly pitchy, you can always be slightly flat when you're singing, when you're trying to sing. That can happen, that can be worked upon separately. But if you don't know how to put out a note, if you're not able to uh, do it with the right technique, then that is not something which is going to help you in the longer run. So
You're
get your
right.
technique correct first, and then worry about your range and yeah, your as to how well you are singing. Those things can be worked upon.
I can totally relate to this. Matlab going for the technique first. I was learning guitar, and because I wanted to play those songs which have a very fast strumming, I went to do that very fast without learning the proper technique. I was able to play that song, but then another song came, which had a
Exactly.
tremendously fast strumming, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't
Exactly.
do it, and I had to unlearn, like you said, totally unlearn the way I do this, go to the basics, then come back to this. So yeah, you're right. Getting the technique right, I think,
You
is
do it
more.
slow. You
Do it
do
slow,
things slowly, and then
slow but solid.
yeah, that's what she said. So uh,
Reminds
कट
me
कर
of
देना
Michael
डिलीट.
Scott.
So,
Yeah.
exactly, that's what the whole thing is. Do things slowly, do it the right way, and then pace it up. Use a metronome. At like for
Yeah.
like, I wanted to learn a guitar solo, so that solo was supposed to be played at 155 BPM, but
Ooh.
I started off at 45 BPM. Since I'm not a
Oh.
great guitar player, I'm not very
Yeah.
used to that. So that is how I went about it.
Hmm.
I
Right.
went note by note, making sure I'm doing everything on the proper beat, and that was 45 BPM. So I
Hmm.
paced my way up. I went from 45. The next day I was working on 50. That day I worked on 50. The next day I worked on 55. Then I went on 60. So it took me a couple of weeks, but then I reached 155 BPM as well on that thing because I got the technique right. I was doing it
Hmm.
slowly. I ensured that I was doing it the right way, and that goes on with pretty much everything, man. You don't
Everything.
go on,
Everything.
you
Yeah.
don't do your bicep curls with 10 kg right away. You start
I
off with
I see
50,
bicep
55, and
curls
so on.
is your favorite exercise for sure.
It's because I only have one dumbbell at home.
Right. Right.
So that's all
Okay.
I can do.
But anyways, thanks for the tip because that's actually a very great tip, and
You're welcome.
I'm sure we'll try to apply it. Uh, Vyom, that brings
Do bicep
us.
curls the right way.
That's right. I need to get one dumbbell for myself also.